Devaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirye Nashtu Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sivaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Ter Bhagavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 3, the Bhumi Gita, text 26 onwards. Sattvam rajastama iti drishyante purushe guna kala sanchodita steve parivartanta atmani. The material modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, whose permutations are observed within a person's mind, are set into motion by the power of time. So the four ages described in these verses are manifestations of various modes of material nature. The age of truth, Satyuga, manifests the predominance of material goodness, and Kalyuga manifests the predominance of ignorance. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, within each age, the other three ages occasionally manifest as sub-ages. Thus, even within Satyuga, a demon in the mode of ignorance may appear, and within the age of Kali, the highest religious principles may flourish for some time. As described in Srimad Bhagavatam, the three modes of nature are present everywhere and in everything. But the predominant mode or combination of modes determines the general character of any material phenomena. In each age, therefore, the three modes are present in varying proportions. A particular age represented by goodness, Satya, passion, Treta, passion and ignorance, Dwapar, or ignorance, Kali, exists within each of the other ages as a sub-factor. So, yes, particular mode is more, goodness is more in Satya Yuga, but obviously passion and ignorance are also there. Because in Satyuga, so we had Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, they all were in Satyuga, but they all went through terrible situations also. Prabhavanti yada sattve mano buddhindriyani cha tada krita yugam vidya dhyane tapsi yadruchihi. When the mind, intelligence, and senses are solidly fixed in the mode of goodness, that time should be understood as Satyuga, the age of truth. People then take pleasure in knowledge and austerity. The word Krita means performed or executed. Thus, in the age of truth, all religious duties are duly performed, and people take great pleasure in spiritual knowledge and austerity. Even in the Kali Yuga, those who are situated in the mode of goodness take pleasure in the cultivation of spiritual knowledge and the regulated performance of austerity. This sublime state of existence is possible for one who has conquered sex desire. So even in Kali Yuga, as it is mentioned, those situated in so goodness is there, but not many people are there in mode of goodness. And those who are in mode of goodness, they take pleasure in cultivation of spiritual knowledge and austerity. They do perform that. Yada karmasu kamyeshu bhaktir yashasi tehina tada treta yajo vrittir iti janihi buddhiman. O most intelligent one, when the conditioned souls are devoted to their duties but have ulterior motives and seek personal prestige, you should understand such a situation to be the age of Treta Yuga, in which the functions of passion are prominent. So functions of passion. Passion then, people have ulterior motives, seek personal prestige. So Treta Yuga, the example was Ravan. Ravan and Lord Ram appeared at that time. Yada lobhas tvasantosho mano dambo atmatsara karmanam chapi kamyanam dvaparam tad rajastama. When greed, dissatisfaction, false pride, hypocrisy, and envy become prominent, Along with attraction for selfish activities, such a time is the age of Dwapar, dominated by the mixed modes of passion and ignorance. So Dwapar Yuga, when Kauravas were there, although they were towards the end of Dwapar Yuga, so just throughout Dwapar Yuga, there must be many other examples. But Kauravas, because Mahabharata happened towards the end of Dwapar Yuga, and after that Kali Yuga started. So that was the worst part of Dwapar Yuga. Of course, at that time Krishna was also there. That why it was the best time. But from other perspective, yes, that was the worst time. Yada maya nritam tandra nidra hinsa vishadanam shok moho bhayam danyam sa kalis tamasa smrita. When there is predominance of cheating, lying, sloth means laziness, sleepiness, violence, depression, lamentation, bewilderment, fear, and poverty, that age is Kali, the age of the mode of ignorance. In Kali Yuga, people are almost exclusively devoted to gross materialism, with hardly any affinity for self-realization. Tasmat Kshudra Drisho Martya Kshudra Bhagya Mahashana Kamino Vitta Hinascha Swarinyascha Striyo Asatihi. Because of the bad qualities of the age of Kali, human beings will become short-sighted, unfortunate, gluttonous, lustful, and poverty-stricken. The women, being unchaste, will freely wander from one man to the next. And that goes on in the name of fashion or forwardness or liberation, liberal-mindedness or whatever you want to call it. This is nonsense. In the age of Kali, certain pseudo-intellectuals seeking individual freedom support sexual promiscuity. In fact, identification of the self with the body and the pursuit of individual freedom in the body rather than in the soul are signs of the most dismal ignorance and slavery to lust. When women are unchaste, many children are born out of wedlock as products of lust. These children grow up in psychologically unfavorable circumstances, and a neurotic, ignorant society arises. Symptoms of this are already manifest throughout the world. And this is just a tip of the iceberg, what is mentioned here. So much more goes on in the name of individual freedom, or they just give different names. Women liberation, or this or that. Dasyut Krishta Janapada Veda Pashanda Dushita Raja Nascha Praja Bhaksha Shishnodara Paradvija. Cities will be dominated by thieves. The Vedas will be contaminated by speculative interpretations of atheists. Political leaders will virtually consume the citizens. And the so-called priests and intellectuals will be devotees of their bellies and genitals. This is Kali Yuga. Many large cities are unsafe at night. For example, it is understood that no sane man will walk in New York's Central Park at night because he knows he will almost certainly be mugged. Apart from ordinary thieves who abound in this age, large cities are filled with cutthroat businessmen who enthusiastically convince people to purchase and consume useless or even harmful products. It has been well documented that beef, tobacco, liquor, and many other modern products destroy one's physical health, what to speak of mental health. And yet, modern capitalists do not hesitate to use every psychological trick in the book to convince people to consume these things. Modern cities are full of mental and atmospheric pollution, and even ordinary citizens are finding them unbearable. So there is, in America, in the White House or in Capitol Hill, where all the politicians are. So here, it's a different kind of politics. So there's a beef lobby. people who deal with beef, cow's meat, whether they're factory slaughterhouses or they sell whatever whatever they do to make money out of beef. It is very, very strong lobby. There's so much of money. Tobacco lobby, liquor lobby, alcohol lobby. It's very, very strong. And so other lobbies are there. So they keep on giving money to the politicians to speak in their favor. And then they hire all these scientists. And scientists will produce scientific research papers telling the importance of eating beef and tobacco smoking, and wine is very good for you, and this much liquor is every day is very good for you. Although other theories, other papers are also there where they say, no, this is very bad. But these lobbies are so strong, so powerful, so much money is there that these are flourishing. These products are there and they don't care if one's physical health is destroyed or mental health is destroyed. And what to speak of? They don't believe in karma. What to speak of karma? So much of suffering will be there in the future lives. They don't care. They just want to make money now and let people be sick. This verse also points out that the teachings of the Vedic scriptures will be distorted in this age. Great universities teach courses on Hinduism in which Indian religion, despite limitless evidence to the contrary, is described as polytheistic and leading to an impersonal salvation. Yeah, this is one of the things when they teach Hinduism in universities. There are many gods. Hindus believe in many gods. No. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha. There is only one God, one Ishvara, Krishna. But our society has been taught wrongly, and we've been taught wrongly in the schools, and here in the Western countries, they always teach wrong things about Hinduism. And everybody, oh, moksha is the final thing. Moksha. No, moksha is not the final thing. Krishna service, Krishna prema is the final thing. In fact, all Vedic literature is a unified whole as stated by Lord Krishna himself. He says, when Vedasya sarvera hame vedya. By all the Vedas, I, Krishna, is to be known. All Vedic literature is meant for enlightening us about the supreme personal absolute truth, Vishnu or Krishna. Although known by many names and appearing in many forms, God is a single absolute entity. And he is a person. But this true Vedic understanding is hidden in the Kali Yuga. And also the problem is, in Christianity, there is mention of Jesus Christ, no doubt, but there is no mention of what God looks like. Jesus Christ said, I'm Son of God, but what does God look like? It's not described. In Islam also, they don't know, or they don't discuss the Rupa of Allah. What does he look like? Buddhism, obviously, they just deny everything, personal philosophy. So three major religions, they just deny personal aspect of absolute truth. Hinduism is so confusion. There's so much of confusion in there because we don't come to one conclusion, one resolution. Who's God? Those who follow Lord Shiva, they say Shiva is ultimate. Those who follow Krishna, Krishna is ultimate. Ram is ultimate. Lord Vishnu, Narayan is ultimate. And of course, in Hinduism, impersonal, they say there is no ultimate person. It's all impersonal. So that is one of the reasons people, they just don't believe in a personal feature of God. And who's that ultimately? Who's the one? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through his six Goswamis and other followers, he tried to establish it. And of course, later on, so many acharyas came, and Prabhupada then took it further all over the world. But still, we are way, way, way behind. Bringing everybody to understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whether somebody wants to still serve Lord Shiva, that's up to him. But at least some people should come to this understanding. But we are not even in the mainstream right now. Sikhism again, they don't believe in the personal feature of Lord. So for us to understand and then bring others to this level, it's a difficult process. In this verse, Shukdev astutely observes that political leaders will virtually consume the citizens, and the so-called priests and intellectuals will be devotees of their bellies and genitals. How sadly true this statement is. But this is Kali Yuga. That's what it is. Avrita Vadvo Ashocha Bhikshavaschya Kutumbina Tapasvino Gramavasa Nyasino Ati Artha Lolupaha. The brahmacharis will fail to execute their vows and become generally unclean. The householders will become beggars. The vanprasthas will live in the villages, and the sannyasis will become greedy for wealth. So brahmacharya, celibate student life, is practically non-existent in the age of Kali. In America, many boys' schools have become co-educational because young men frankly refuse to live without the constant companionship of lusty young girls. Also, we have personally observed throughout the Western world that student residences are among the dirtiest places on earth, as predicted here by the word Ashocha. The brahmacharis are supposed to clean their place every day, clean their room every day. But student residences, they're the hellish actually. Concerning household beggars, when devotees of the Lord go door to door distributing transcendental literature and requesting donations for the propagation of God's glories, irritated householders commonly reply, "Someone should give me a donation." Householders in Kali Yuga are not charitable. Instead, because of their miserly mentality, they become irritated when spiritual mendicants approach them. In Vedic literature, at the age of 50, couples retire to sacred places for austere life and spiritual perfection. In countries like America, however, retirement cities have been constructed wherein elderly people can make fool of themselves by wasting the last years of their lives playing golf, ping pong, and shuffleboard, and by engaging in pathetic attempts at love affairs, even while their bodies are horribly rotting and their minds are growing senile. And playing golf, and this is just very sugar-coated statements. Here, old age homes are constructed nicely. They do take care of people living there, but they also have, because they know these old people, they're retired, their pension money is coming from wherever, and they have their savings, and they have nothing else to do but to waste money. So they have so many casinos made over there. So all these old people go to the casinos, they waste their money, they lose money, they think they're enjoying. And this is a ridiculous way of living. But the problem is because They haven't been trained from the early ages. Like Prahlad Maharaj said, Komaram Acharit Pragyo. From 5 years, this training, spiritual training should start. And then there is a chance towards the end of the life, the person won't give it up. He will stick to it. Now, these people, those who are old, since they were not trained in the beginning, so they just don't know how to pass their time. They just don't know. So they do all this nonsense stuff, even at the old age. In India, okay, not too many old age homes are there. People, they're still living with their children, old people. But what do they waste their times with? Newspaper, TV, just gossiping, playing cards, or just talking to neighbors and just go for a walk or do something. But it's wastage of time. Why? Because this training wasn't there when they were little, when they were young. So Krishna's mercy, we have been given this chance. So we should not waste, when we get old or really old, we should not waste our life. But this is happening all over the world. This shameless abuse of the venerable last years of life denotes a stubborn unwillingness to acknowledge the actual purpose of human life and is certainly an offense against God. The words Nyasino Atyartha Lolupa indicate that charismatic religious leaders and even those who are not charismatic will proclaim themselves prophets, saints, and incarnations to cheat the innocent public and fatten their bank accounts. Therefore, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is working arduously, very, very hard work to establish bona fide celibate student life, religious householder life, dignified and progressive retirement, and genuine spiritual leadership for the entire world. So, somehow in the purport it says, today, May 9, 1982, in the central city of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, we have awarded sannyas, the renounced order of life, to 3 young men, 2 Brazilians and 1 American, with the sincere hope that they will faithfully execute the rigid vows of renounced life and provide authentic spiritual leadership in South America. So I don't know who these sannyasis were, but I hope they are still preaching strongly. Text 34. Hirasvus kaya mahahara bhurya patya gatahriya shashvat katu kabhashinasya chaurya mayor rusahasaha. Women will become much smaller in size and they will eat too much, have more children than they can properly take care of, and lose all shyness. They will always speak harshly and will exhibit qualities of thievery, deceit, and unrestrained audacity. So this is, in general, all over the world, this is what's going to happen. Or it is happening in Kali Yuga. Panishyanti Vaisudra Kirata Kutakarena Anapayadyapi Mansyante Vartam Sadhu Jugupsitam. Businessmen will engage in petty commerce and earn their money by cheating. Even when there is no emergency, people will consider any degraded occupation quite acceptable. Although other occupations are available, people do not hesitate to work in coal mines, slaughterhouses, steel mills, deserts, floating oil rigs, submarines, and other equally abominable situations. As also mentioned here, businessmen will consider cheating and lying to be a perfectly respectable way to do business. These are all symptoms of the age of Kali. And definitely this is what's going on. Patim tyakyanti nirdravyam vritrya apya akilottamam vrityam vipannam pateha kolam gasya payasvini. Servants will abandon a master who has lost his wealth, even if that master is a saintly person of exemplary character. Masters will abandon an incapacitated servant, even if that servant has been in the family for generations. Cows will be abandoned or killed when they stop giving milk. In India, the cow is considered sacred not because Indian people are primitive worshippers of mythological totems, but because Hindus intelligently understand that the cow is a mother. As children, nearly all of us were nourished with cow's milk, and therefore the cow is one of our mothers. Certainly, one's mother is sacred, and therefore we should not kill the sacred cow. So many slaughterhouses here, and millions of cows are getting killed every day. Pitri Bhratri Surit Gyatina Hitva Sorat Sohrada Danandrashyala Sambada Dina Strana Kalo Naraha. In Kali Yuga, men will be wretched and controlled by women. They will reject their fathers, brothers, other relatives, and friends, and will instead associate with the sisters and brothers of their wives. Thus, their conception of friendship will be based exclusively on sexual ties. That is true. So wives, sister, husband, sadhu sahib, he takes the front seat than one's own brother. And then people are very happy about it. Shudra pratigrahishyanti tapo veshopajivina dharmam bhakshanti adharmagya adhiroyottam asanam. Uncultured men will accept charity on behalf of the Lord and will earn their livelihood by making a show of austerity and wearing a mendicant's dress. Those who know nothing about religion will mount a high seat and presume to speak on religious principles. So the epidemic of bogus gurus, swamis, priests, and so forth is explicitly described here. Nityam udvigna manaso durbhiksha karshita niranne bhutale rajan anavrishti bhayatur. Vaso annapanashayana vyavaya snanam bhushana hina pishacha sandarsha bhavishyanti kalo praja. In the age of Kali, people's minds will always be agitated. They will become emaciated by famine and taxation, my dear king, and will always be disturbed by the fear of drought. They will lack adequate clothing, food, and drink, will be unable to properly rest, have sex or bathe themselves, and will have no ornaments to decorate their bodies. In fact, the people of Kali Yuga will gradually come to appear like ghostly, haunted creatures. So the symptoms described here are already prevalent in many countries of the world and will gradually spread to other places engulfed by impiety and materialism. And yes, we can see that happening in Africa. So much of poverty is there. Kalo kakyane ke apyarthe vigreya tyakta sohrita tyakshyanti cha priyan pranan anishyanti swakanapi. In Kali Yuga, men will develop hatred for each other, even for over a few coins. Giving up all friendly relations, they will be ready to lose their own lives and kill even their own relatives. Na rakshashyanti manuja sthaviro pitaravapi putran bharyam chakulajam shudra shishno dararambara. Men will no longer protect their elderly parents, their children, or their respectable wives. Thoroughly degraded, they will care only to satisfy their own bellies and genitals. In this age, many people are already sending their elderly parents away to lonely and often bizarre old age homes, although the elderly parents spend their entire life serving, taking care of the children. Young children are also tormented in many ways at this age. Suicide among children has increased dramatically in recent years because they are being born not to loving religious parents but to degraded, selfish men and women. In fact, children are often born because a birth control pill, a prophylactic, or other contraceptive device malfunction. Under such conditions, it is very difficult nowadays for parents to morally guide the children. Generally ignorant of spiritual signs, parents cannot lead their children on the path of liberation and thus fail to fulfill their primary responsibility in family life. So, yes, that is happening, very much happening. As predicted in this verse, adultery has become common, and people in general are extremely concerned with eating and sex, which they consider far more important than knowing the absolute truth. So, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, that's the goal of life these days. Kalo no rajan jagatam param gurum trilokanath nat pad pankajam prayana martya bhagvantam achyutam yakshyanti pashanda vibhinna chetasah. O king, in the age of Kali, people's intelligence will be diverted by atheists, and they will almost never offer sacrifice to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the supreme spiritual master of the universe. Although the great personalities who control the three worlds bow down to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, the petty, miserable human beings of this age will not do so. So although the great personalities, Brahma, Shiva, Indra, they all bow down to Krishna's lotus feet, but we think we are better or we know better or we are more powerful than all this, so we won't. The impulse to find the absolute truth, the source of all existence, has motivated philosophers, theologians, and other intellectuals of various persuasions since time immemorial, and continues to do so today. However, soberly analyzing the ever-increasing plurality of so-called philosophies, religions, paths, ways of life, and so on, we find that in almost all cases, the ultimate objective is something impersonal or formless. So for somebody to come to this conclusion that a person, Krishna, is the Supreme Lord, and very, very difficult. It's a long purport and very many technical points. I'll just go towards the end. Only in Kali Yuga are there philosophers foolish enough to proudly define the most absolute of all terms, God, in materialistic, relative ways, and then declare themselves enlightened thinkers. No matter how big our brain may be, we should have the common sense to place it at the feet of the Supreme Personality of God. And not just that, now there is a discussion, arguments going on in America. And the church is trying to go with the public. When they refer to God as He or Him, and people are objecting to that God should not have any gender. You cannot call him or Father, God our Father. No, this is just unacceptable these days. And the church is going to go with the public. So they're going to change the scriptures now. Yan nama dhe amriyamana atura patan skhalan va vivisho grinan vimukta karmargal uttamam gatim prapanoti yakshanti natam kalo jana. Terrified, about to die, a man collapses on his bed, although his voice is faltering and is hardly conscious of what he is saying. If he utters the holy name of the Supreme Lord, he can be freed from the reaction of his fruitive work and achieve the supreme destination. But still, people in the age of Kali will not worship the Supreme Lord. So, even in this position, terrified, about to die, and voice is faltering, but if he still chants even once names of the Lord, he can be freed. Punsam kalikritan doshan dravya deshatma sambhavan sarvan harati chittastho bhagwan purushottamaha. In the Kali Yuga, objects, places, and even individual personalities are all polluted. The Almighty Personality of Godhead, however, can remove all such contamination from the life of one who fixes the Lord within his mind. So everything is polluted in Kali Yuga, but Krishna can remove all such contamination from the life of one who fixes the Lord within his mind. Shruta sankirtito dhyata pujitasthadrito api va dhranam dhunoti bhagwan ritastho janmayuta shubham. If a person hears about, glorifies, meditates upon, worships, or simply offers great respect to the Supreme Lord, who is situated within the heart, the Lord will remove from his mind the contamination accumulated during many thousands of lifetimes. This is Krishna and his mercy. Yatha hemni sthito vahanir dvarvarnam hanti dhatujam evam atmagato Vishnur yoginam shubhashayam. Just as fire applied to gold removes any discoloration caused by traces of other metals, Lord Vishnu within the heart purifies the minds of the yogis. Although one may practice the mystic yoga system, his actual spiritual advancement is due to the mercy of the Supreme Lord within the heart. It's not directly the result of his austerity and meditation. If one becomes foolishly proud in the name of yoga, his spiritual position becomes ridiculous. So we should not be proud of anything, because any progress that's going to happen is going to happen by the mercy of the Supreme Lord within the heart. And as it is said, Lord Vishnu within the heart purifies the minds of the yogis, not by our meditation or our sadhana or anything else. Vidya tapa prana nirodha maitri tirtha abhishek vrata dana japya nati anta shuddhim lavate antaratma yatha hridisthe bhagvati anante. By once engaging in the processes of demigod worship, austerities, breath control, compassion, bathing in the holy places, strict vows, charities, and chanting of various mantras, one's mind cannot attain the same absolute purification as that achieved when the unlimited personality of Godhead appears within one's heart. So, Shukdev Goswami, after describing all the symptoms of Kali Yuga, maybe Parikshit Maharaj was very disturbed and very afraid. And he said, no, just chant, think of the Lord. And when he appears within the heart, everything is cleansed. All the contaminations can be gone. Tasmat sarvatmana rajan hridistham kuru keshavam priyamano hiyavahitas tato yasi param gatim. Therefore, O king, endeavor with all your might to fix the Supreme Lord Keshav within your heart. Maintain this concentration upon the Lord, and at the time of death you will certainly attain the supreme destination. Because the time is coming for Maharaj Parikshit to leave his body. So Shukdev Goswami is finally bringing him to the culmination. Although the Supreme Lord is always in the heart of every living being, the words Hridhi Sthitam Kuru Keshavam indicate that one should endeavor to realize the Lord's presence there and maintain his awareness at every moment. Parikshit Maharaj is about to give up this world and is receiving final instructions from his spiritual master, Shukdev Goswami. In the context of king's imminent departure, this verse has special significance. म्रियमाण रविध्येयो भगवान परमेश्वर
गोल्डन टेम्पल से लेके आई थी, ये दिया था
माता जी। म्रियमाण रविध्येयो भगवान परमेश्वर आत्म भावम नियत्यंग सर्वात्मा सर्व संश्रय। My dear King, the personality of Godhead is the ultimate controller. He is the supreme soul and the supreme shelter of all beings. When meditated upon by those about to die, he reveals to them their own eternal spiritual identity. So this was one of the questions of Parikshit Maharaj. What should a person who is about to die do? What should he think about? What should he do? And this is what Shukdev Goswami is telling him. Kalera dosha nidhe rajan asti eko mahan guna kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. My dear King, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna. Kirtana Dev Krishnasya. It's clearly mentioned in Bhagavatam. After mentioning the innumerable faults of this age of Kali, Shukdev Goswami now mentions its one brilliant aspect. Just as one powerful king can kill innumerable thieves, one brilliant spiritual quality can destroy all the contamination of this age. It's impossible to overestimate the importance of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, especially in this fallen age. Krite yadhyayato Vishnu tretayam yajato makhan dvapare paricharyayam kalo tadhari kirtanat. Whatever result was obtained in Satyuga by meditation on Vishnu, and Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, and in Dwapara Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Kalo tadhari kirtanat. Kirtan, Hari Kirtan in this age is the topmost way of self-realization. There's no other way actually. A similar verse is found in Vishnu Puran and also in Padma Puran and the Brihad Naradiya Puran. Dhyayan krite yajan yagyas tretayam dvapare archayam tadapanoti yad apanoti tadapanoti kalo sankirtaya keshavam. Kirtan kiska? Keshav. Hari Kirtan. Whatever is achieved by meditation in Satyuga, by the performance of sacrifice in Treta Yuga, and by the worship of Lord Krishna's lotus feet in Dwapara Yuga, is obtained in the age of Kali simply by glorifying the name of Lord Keshav. So clearly mentioned in all scriptures. Srila Jiva Goswami has further quoted from the Brahm Vaivarta Puran concerning the degraded condition of people in Kali Yuga. Thus, in the age of Kali, the practices of austerity, yoga, meditation, deity worship, sacrifice, and so on, along with the various subsidiary functions, are not properly carried out, even by the most expert embodied souls. They don't want to do. What do? In this way, the most perfect penance to be executed in this world is the chanting of the name of Lord Shri Hari, Tapa Shri Hari Kirtana. Especially in the age of Kali, one can satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu by performing Sankirtan. In conclusion, massive propaganda should be made all over the world to induce people to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, by which human society can be rescued from the dangerous ocean of the age of Kali. So this is the only way possible, only way out. Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, Krishna himself appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach how to carry out this Sankirtan Yagya. And then Acharyas came, Prabhupada came. Prabhupada showed what exactly this Sankirtan. Prabhupada in Sankirtan, he not just added just chanting. He said, okay, book distribution is also Sankirtan. Prasadam distribution is also Sankirtan. So do that. And devotees have been doing it and getting unimaginary results. So thus ends the purpose to 12th canto, 3rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled the Bhumi Gita. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna.